Okay, so you're thinking about wedding photography and potentially becoming a wedding photographer. Well, in today's video, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about wedding photography and my tips and tricks of how to be a wedding event photographer. So stay tuned. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. This is Rachel Capella, event photographer for 18 plus years in the San Francisco Bay Area. And today we are talking about wedding photography. First off, I just want to preface that wedding photography is not for everyone. And I may be one of the only photographers that will admit this, because I have photographed weddings for years and years and years and years, and I actually do not photograph them anymore. I will only photograph small weddings. Like we're talking under like 100 people, maybe 75 people or under. 50 would be ideal. But yeah, I'm going to give you all the tips on wedding photography and what I think about it. So it's definitely not for the faint of heart. And it can be a beautiful thing. You've got to love weddings though. So if you don't love them, might be challenging for you. I kind of didn't love them, but I liked them, and I realized at the end of that, they weren't for me. And so I went into doing bar and bat mitzvahs and corporate, and I love that. And I feel like I'm totally good and I've got my fair share. So let's get into tips on wedding photography. All right, so let's get into the gear that I use for my event photography business and primarily for weddings. Because if you think that you're going to be a wedding photographer and be successful and you don't have these lenses, you're going to be sorely mistaken, because you're going to come across a point in time where you're going to literally miss a shot because you don't have these lenses. And I can say that because I did it. And the lens that killed me when I didn't have it was my macro lens. When I went to go photograph the rings, I was lucky enough to have a videographer in the wedding we were shooting be so kind to let me borrow his macro lens because he saw me struggling. So these are the lenses in the camera that I use. Obviously, I've got my Canon camera, Canon flash, but you're going to want to have a very important 24-70 for the overall general, get it all, can do pretty much anything lens. You're going to want the 70-200 for the aisle when you photograph the ceremony and you're shooting down the aisle. You're going to want two cameras because you're going to need to be able to rotate between both, because you can't shoot with just the 24-70 the entire, ceremony. You're going to have the 24-70. So you're going to have two cameras with those lenses on during the ceremony. Okay. So we're just talking about gear here though. So you need the 24-70. You're going to need the 70-200. You will need luxury lenses now coming up, but they really should be in your repertoire if you're going to be photographing weddings. 16-35, because that's going to get the whole entire shot of potentially the ceremony and the room where everyone's sitting, all the tables. You're going to want a macro lens and the fisheye lens. Okay, those are all kind of luxury lenses. If you were to start, which I did, I started with the 24-70 and the 70-200. Those are my go-tos. But when you can play with the fisheye, and I don't know, maybe people don't like the fisheye anymore. I'm so old that I thought it was cool, and I think it's cool to get the whole wide angle shot, and it's just kind of neat. You can get really cool artistic dynamic party shots with it as well. And that macro lens, you want those ring shots? Yeah, you're gonna have to have a macro lens. I had to learn that, and thank you, Dave from AVR Films, who was my bestie, who gave me that macro lens to borrow for the rings. God, it was so funny. I remember it was like yesterday. It was like probably freaking 10-15 years ago. And yeah, you need that for the ring shot. So those are the things that you'll need, the gear you'll need, the lenses you'll need, whatever. If you shoot Nikon, if you shoot Sony, those are the lenses you're going to need. So get them. All right, so now you're going to have a wedding flow. You're going to need some kind of system that you run your day by. Okay, so let me just go into mine because I don't know how else to describe it, but you're basically going to have to like know that the theme of the wedding is going to be this, and you're going to have to capture it all. So first off is getting ready. Bride and groom, you're going to have 2 photographers. It's like literally going to be impossible if you do it yourself. I don't know how people do it themselves. I'm sure people have teams of like 4 and 5 people, but I always had 2. So I would usually be with the bride getting ready, doing all the getting ready photos. I'd usually have my second shooter with the boys, and they would be doing their getting ready photos there. So from getting ready, you take all those photos and then you would do the first look. Okay, I always, in my consultation, when we would answer all the questions and go over all the client questions, I would tell them this is going to be the system of the day, right? I would say, you want to do the first look and, reveal, I guess, because you want to essentially knock out the bride and groom photos there and the wedding party photos, because when you move into the reception after the service, it's just a lot less group photos. So you're just then doing the families and whatever photos that you have to do, the group photos. It was always like what I couldn't stand the most was the group photos because it was like herding cats. And like you're waiting for Aunt Jane, and Aunt Jane is at the bar, nowhere to be found. So then she's not in the damn picture, and it's like so brutal. But anyways, you're going to tell them that you want to have the first look, okay? Because from the first look, you're going to get all that stuff done, and then you're going to move directly into the ceremony, right? And then you're going to do the ceremony, and then you're going to come from the ceremony and you're going to do the group photos and then the family photos, all that jazz. And then you're going to the cocktail hour, and then you're going to go into the entrance of the bride and groom. Then you're going to go into the first dance, and then you're going to go into like, I guess that would probably next be the speeches, the best man and best woman speeches and parent speeches, whatever. Yes. So then you go into the parent speeches, and maybe it's flip-flop. Maybe it's the first dance after that. I don't know, but it's however the day is set up. And then you're going to go into the party, and you're going to do like, the table shots if you do those. And then you're going to move into the dancing, and then you're going to do the bouquet toss and the garter belt toss and whatever, and then you're going to do the exit if you stay that long. So there has to be a system for the day, and you got to stick to it, okay? Now, you could create the system on your own. I don't have one anymore. I don't want to share it anymore, so there's not going to be any links down below for it because I don't do weddings. But you can go on Etsy, you can go on wherever and find plenty of systems and shot lists for the day of a wedding. But you have to know that if you're going to go into wedding photography, okay? All right, so again, did I mention you have to have a second shooter? So just make sure that you hire a second shooter. It's super important because that is how you're going to service this client really well. Unless it's a small wedding, like something I would do like under 75 people, you could easily shoot that on your own. You got to have a shot list. I told you have to have some type of flow for the day and make sure everyone is on page. Make sure you get that list from the bride and groom of the VIPs for the group photos. You do not want to not miss anyone. Also, pro tip, if the bride wants a picture of everybody at their table, you need to make sure that you have that knowledge beforehand. Okay, don't mess around and not have it beforehand. The other thing is you have to work well with vendors. You have to have snacks because a wedding day is a full day. It is a full 8-hour day, and you need to be able to eat beforehand and have snacks on hand and be prepared to sweat because usually they're in the summer months and it's freaking hot and you'll be sweating. So I always used to bring a sweater and wear like a tank top because I would get so hot. I would just kind of have the sweater over, and then I would just rip that sucker off and sweat like a pig and be out there hustling hard. Make sure your shoes are comfortable. I always wear black because it's just more formal looking. I would always wear like blouses. I don't like wearing dresses because sometimes you get down on your knees and dress is just not my thing. So I would always wear like kind of 3/4 pants or like black pants with a blouse, like a tank top blouse, whatever. Don't wear jeans. Don't be rude. This is an event that they're paying $50,000 to $100,000 for. Look appropriate and look nice. Have the proper gear. Work well, play well with the vendors because the vendors that are at the wedding can refer you. Pro tip, if you're an a-hole or a jerk, nobody's going to want to work with you. eat dinner together, have fun together, communicate together, work as a team, because you're there for the client and you want to get the best stuff for the client. So if you work well with the videographer and the DJ and everybody who's there, it's just going to be an amazing result for the client. So, and that's how you get more business. Pro tip, be prepared to be exhausted by the end of the day. My favorite thing at the end of every single wedding I ever photographed was chugging a Coke and eating that cake, that wedding cake. It would give me my last like sugar boost to make it through the end of the event. But usually, I mean, they are really fun. It's just a lot of work. So know all of those things going in. And like I said, pro tip, if you work well with the vendors, and by the vendors, I mean the videographer, the DJ, the event planner, the florist, the wedding coordinator, well, that's the planner, the wedding venue, all of those people, the caterer, if there's one. If you work well with those people, share your photos with them. Don't make them pay. Just give them to them. It's free marketing. They will send you business, I promise, because that is how I built my business. Like literally, my wedding business consisted of probably, I think there was 3 people. One for sure was my friend Jen, who worked at various venues. She would always put my name on the list. She would always refer me. And then my other buddy, my bestie, Dave with AVR Films, he would always refer me. And we would work oftentimes always together. And then other photographers, second shooters, you know, like other wedding photographers, knowing who's working all the time in the area and that fits your style or similar to your style or is a great shooter. All right, so anyone in the area that's matches your type of style or is a great photographer, you want to refer them, get to know them, be friends with them, because they will refer out business to you. And if for some reason they don't refer you, don't refer them. It's fine. It's that simple. So there you have it. Those are the wedding tips that I think that you will need going forward if you're going to be a wedding photographer. If you want to know more reasons why I absolutely love event photography, you're going to want to check out this video popping up right here next, and make sure to subscribe and check out my freebies, because I have lots of great stuff that can help you get started in your photo business today. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next video. Bye.